So I bought the Fuji X100V second-hand for 150 euros. I've been tracking this camera for quite a long time, almost a year, and in that year I kind of found out that this is the camera I really want to have for my travel and my normal, ordinary day-to-day life. So I traded 3 cameras, 3 Lumixes, a couple of lenses in for it, and I was left with a residual of 150 euros, which is great. And in this video I'm going to talk about some of the pros, some of the cons, and some of the things that that leave me indifferent. So let's first start with some of the pros. Well, the first thing that I noticed was the very small yet compact size. And that's exactly what I expected from this camera, because what's happening here? It fits into your pocket. Which is the major thing for me is I love my Fuji X-T2. I really love it. But if you look at the form factors next to each other, yes, you'll definitely see the difference here. Much thinner, much sleeker. Some of you will comment, hey, didn't you have an X-T20? Yes, I did, but my daughter took that away. So the first thing here is the actual form factor. The second part is the actual build quality. This is a very nice, sturdy, weather sealed, almost all weather sealed design. It fits into your pocket and it's made out of fantastic materials. So that's definitely something that I really appreciate from it. I don't know if it feels premium, but it feels very robust, and that is the most important thing. One of the other reasons is that I'm a fan of the 35mm club. Yes, this camera focuses with a 23mm lens with a max aperture of f2.0. That's the equivalent of 35mm. And I'm a big fan of that focal range. I don't particularly like 50s. So, comment below, are you a 50s or a 35er? Comment below. What I also love about this camera, or really like, is the fact that this is equipped with the latest Fuji X-T4 technology, as I call it, so the X-Trans 4 sensor. And it's got the latest film simulations, where specifically, you've got the Eterna, you've got the classic neg added. But the one that really impressed me, and I'm not a black and white shooter, was the black and white on this camera. It's really good. I was actually very much surprised about it, because I'm normally not a black and white photographer, but on this one I don't particularly enjoy it. On this one it's the classic chrome, which is my favorite, but hey guys, fantastic. Then one of the little features that this camera has I really like is the built-in ND filter. Yes, these sunglasses for your camera, and that is, in my opinion, fantastic when you're shooting in harsh lighting conditions like you have now in the summer. I personally love this about this camera. I really think that it works well, so it means that you can shoot, let's say, at 1/25 at an f2.0 and still put the ND on. Fantastic, really like this one. Then there's one thing I really noticed, that the autofocus in this camera, the X100V, compared to the Fuji X-T2, it's really dinosaur versus Sonic Jet almost. Now that doesn't mean that everything is okay with this camera, but before we start with the cons, there's also a few things which I see here on YouTube that I'm sometimes thinking, is this really fair, or does it really affect me? Now, I'm going to list a bunch. First of all, low light performance of this camera. You have here an f2.0 lens. What do you expect? Suddenly magic in the dark? No, it isn't. I find the low light on this camera pretty acceptable, to be very honest. I don't see any problems with it. Yeah, sure, occasionally it's maybe not so sharp, but hey, I shoot Fuji because I don't like over-sharpened images anyway, so what's the problem there? The second part I hear a lot of on the internet is this here, the battery. Apparently this battery is diabolically bad. Well, no, it really isn't. It's not diabolically good, but it's not as bad as these babies for the Sony CV1 where I'm recording on right now. So yeah, I think they're okay. I normally always carry 2. Right? You know it from Fuji, and they're light, they're compact. So I kind of, I'm okay with it, folks, don't worry. Then there is the video capabilities of this. Yeah, it's great. You can do all the 4K you want to. The one thing you can't do is vlogging, but I never intended this camera to be vlogging anyways, because, well, you can, but you have to buy an adapter here for your audio, which I simply refuse. But it's okay for me. I mean, I really don't care. If I want to shoot something, I can hold it like this. There's no in-body stabilization. into it. I personally don't care about that either. For photography, it's okay. I mean, what is all the fuss about? Then I've heard a lot about overheating. Overheating, yeah, it was so bad, this, that, and the other. I've tested this entire afternoons in Krakow and I never noticed a thing. And even if it does, who cares a bit, you know, it's not gonna stop. So I think overall, there's a few things, not pros, not cons, things that I just noticed, and who cares. And for the cons, there are, you know, a few which are, I think, are debatable. I find them cons, but they're not big cons. But there's one big con here. And I'm not going to start with that, obviously. The first thing I found a bit of con is the price. If you're looking for an entry-level camera, yeah, this comes in at 14 to 1500 bucks, maybe even 1600 in some countries. It's quite a bit of money for what you're getting. It's a compact camera. You know, it's got its own lens onto it. It's actually a flat prime. It's not even a zoom lens. So yeah, I find that money kind of a lot, and I was lucky to pick this copy up for 150, as I just said, but I had to sell off all my Lumixes, and I like my Lumixes. I liked them, but I didn't use them anymore with some of the lenses with it, so I paid 150 euros for this. Less cameras now, pretty good. Yeah, and I just mentioned that I love the build quality, but this is also not fully weather sealed, and this is a bit bizarre, and this is what I really don't get about Fujifilm is you have this fantastic camera, you have a fantastic build quality. It's definitely, if I look at how the doors are and the battery, is definitely more premium than my A7 from A7 III from Sony. But the one thing that's not fully weather sealed is your lens. I don't get that. You have to buy an accessory. I really don't get that from Fuji, but okay, that's me. Then there, of course, are a few design things where you can argue over the Q button here. I can understand it from a design point of view. When you have your thumb here, you can easily access it. Well, I'd rather have it here with a joypad, but that's really my own thing. I wouldn't call it a con. It's just a wish. What I do find, not even problems, but this little LCD screen. I love the fact for photography that you can tilt it up like this. I'm happy it's not a side flippy screen, because I think for photography it's useless. What I would love to see is that you could just have a button here and tilt it up like you have here with the X-T2. You just tilt this button up, hoppa, and there you go. For vertical shooting, that would have been nice, but you know, who am I? Way too critical, of course. But then there's the last thing, and that is a showstopper. If you want to buy this camera and you're thinking you get the perfect lens, not really. The camera is perfect, the lens isn't. It is really hunting at times. Personally, I've been able to basically manage it, but I really feel that when it comes to this entire shooting experience what I find this a fantastic camera. I really think it's great, but the hunting, and whether it's low light, whether it's close-ups, normal landscapes or panoramics, it will have it at times, and it comes and it goes, and that's a bit of a shame. I wish Fuji would have spent a bit more time on that. So that's my kind of pros, cons of the Fuji X100V.